Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to your news edition. These are the headlines. Prime Minister Siferi received at Carthage Palace by Tunisian President Kais Saied, an opportunity to highlight the brotherly ties between both peoples. Algeria and Tunisia taking economic ties to a different level. Algeria and Tunisian Monitoring Committee launches its work in preparation for the 23rd High Joint Commission. In commemoration of the 65th anniversary of December 11, 1960 protests, several activities held across the national territory. Welcome back. Prime Minister Siferi was received by the Tunisian President Kais Saied at the Palace of Carthage as part of his official visit for the 23rd session of the Great Algerian-Tunisian Cooperation Commission. He extended his salutations of the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, and reaffirmed the will to reinforce the brotherly relations and the bilateral cooperation. The Tunisian president expressed his respect for the President of the Republic and highlighted the convergence of views between the two countries, insisting on the importance of expanding the bilateral cooperation to other sectors to improve integration and investments for the mutual benefit. The two parties called on to intensify the economic exchanges. The Tunisian president highlighted the importance of the Algerian-Tunisian Economic Forum in reinforcing their cooperation. We'll listen.
I had the honor today at the start of my visit to the Republic of Tunisia to meet President Kais Saied. I conveyed to him the greetings of his brother, the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, and reaffirmed the particular attention President Tebboune gives to the development of bilateral relations, as well as his firm commitment to continuing joint efforts with President Kais Saied to advance the partnership between the two countries towards greater strategic integration and shared consolidated development, in line with the approach adopted during President Tebboune's state's visit in December 2021. President Kais Saied expressed on this occasion the deep esteem he holds for his brother, President Abdelmajid Tebboune, and his determination to continue cooperating with him to elevate the partnership between the two countries. I also listened with great attention to President Kais Saied's valuable insights on ways to strengthen bilateral cooperation and to mobilize all available capacities in order to raise the partnership to its highest levels.
The Prime Minister insisted on the importance of this forum to consolidate the legislative and institutional frameworks between the two countries, reaffirming the convergence of views on regional and international issues. We'll listen.
In this context, we reviewed the progress of ongoing preparations for the Algerian-Tunisian High Joint Commission scheduled for tomorrow, as well as the importance of seizing this opportunity to reinforce the legal and institutional frameworks governing cooperation between the two countries. The objective is also to create favorable conditions for the development of a joint partnership that serves the shared interests and aspirations of the two brotherly peoples. The discussions particularly focused on the promising prospects and opportunities to strengthen trade, exchanges and investment between the two countries, issues that will be at the heart of the Algerian-Tunisian Economic Forum taking place this evening, with the participation of a large number of economic operators from both sides. This event highlights the significant potential of an economic partnership capable of contributing to the development of both nations and to the common well-being of their peoples. This forum will, with God's willing, represent an important milestone in building an integrated partnership founded on the institutions, expertise and human capacities of Algeria and Tunisia, and in working side by side towards a promising future for the two brotherly countries. The meeting was also an opportunity to reaffirm the convergence of the two countries' positions on various regional and international issues, particularly the Palestinian cause and their support for the brotherly Palestinian people in recovering their legitimate rights and establishing their independent state with Al-Quds as its capital. The situation in the region was also discussed, notably in Libya, along with ways to contribute to reviving the political settlement process in this neighboring country.
وتم خلال هذه المقابلة بحث الأوضاع في المنطقة وخاصة الوضع في ليبيا وسبل المساهمة في دفع مسار التسوية السياسية في هذا البلد الجاري.
Algeria and Tunisia are taking economic ties to a different level as business leaders gather to turn opportunity into real investment and partnership across borders. Basma Far with more details.
The Algeria-Tunisia Economic Forum convened today, offering a practical space for businessmen to establish real partnerships and develop investment projects that generate genuine added value. This forum is an open economic platform to explore available opportunities and expand exchange between Algerian and Tunisian institutions.
إن انعقاد دورة المنتدى الاقتصادي الجزائري التونسي اليوم يعتبر موعدا نقف فيه معا على التقدم الذي سجله التعاون.
I would like to begin by indicating that the opening of the Tunisian Economic Forum marks an important moment to acknowledge the progress made in the economic cooperation between our two countries since the last forum held in Algeria. It also represents an opportunity for economic institutions and businessmen on both sides to explore significant and sustainable avenues for bilateral cooperation. This comes especially in light of the exceptional harmony and agreement achieved thanks to the strong leadership of the two presidents, President Abdelmajid Tebboune and President Kais Saied, and their firm determination to reach a unified vision for Tunisian-Algerian cooperation.
عزمهما القوي على إحداث نقلة نوعية في التعاون الجزائري التونسي.
تعاملنا سويا على أن يتزامن انعقاد هذا المنتدى.
We agreed to hold this forum alongside the 23rd session of the Tunisian-Algerian Joint Committee, aiming to strengthen Tunisian-Algerian economic relations and inject new momentum, reflecting the shared vision of the two leaders, President Kais Saied and President Abdelmajid Tebboune, who emphasizes the crucial role of the private sector in driving economic growth and investment in both countries. The strong fraternal ties and shared history between the two peoples provide a solid foundation for establishing new partnerships based on mutual benefit and common interest, serving the welfare of both nations.
المتميزة والتاريخ المشترك بين الشعبين الشقيقين حافز وقاعدة متينة لإرساء شراكات جديدة تقوم على المنفعة المتبادلة والمصلحة المشتركة بما يخدم مصلحة الشعبين الشقيقين.
The forum reinforces this belief in practice by creating direct channels between decision makers and investors, building a strong industrial hub and generate wealth and jobs with quality and responsibility.
نستطيع بناء قطب صناعي قوي.
We can build a strong industrial hub that creates wealth and jobs, transfers knowledge and expertise while placing quality and responsibility at the core of our shared development strategy. I invite our Algerian investor friends to invest in Tunisia because there are real opportunities for success. We also aspire to see an increase in the number of Tunisian projects in Algeria and Algerian projects in Tunisia, as well as joint investments in both countries.
Through these initiatives, the forum becomes an economic lever, translating political will into tangible results via the signing of multiple agreements between Algerian and Tunisian investors.
The State Minister for Foreign Affairs, National Community Abroad and African Affairs, Ahmed Attaf, co-chaired with his Tunisian counterpart, Mohamed Ali Al-Nafti, the meeting of the Algerian-Tunisian Monitoring Commission as a preparation for the 23rd session of the Great Algerian-Tunisian Joint Commission for Bilateral Cooperation that will start on Friday under the co-presidency of the Prime Minister Sefer Riyab and the Tunisian Head of Government, Sarah Al-Zafarani. On this occasion, Ahmed Attaf affirmed that the Algerian-Tunisian Monitoring Commission is an important mechanism to assess what has been achieved in the previous months and prepare for the next steps to take the bilateral relations to the strategic level that the leaders of the two countries agreed on. For his part, the Tunisian Minister of Foreign Affairs highlighted the convergence of view and the mutual challenges, insisting on the necessity of reinforcing the cooperation to ensure the energy and food security for both countries. We'll listen.
We meet today with the aim of assessing the steps we have taken and anticipating the phases and deadlines that awaits us on the path to elevating our bilateral relations to the level of the strategic partnership decided by the leaders of our two brotherly countries. It is important to emphasize that Algerian-Tunisian relations go far beyond anything that can be summarized in figures, indicators or data. This is a relationship woven through the pages of our shared history, even before being shaped by the geography country that unites our two neighboring peoples.
بيانات. فالعلاقة بين بلدين الشقيقين هي علاقة نسجتها فصول تاريخنا المشترك قبل أن تسقلها تضاريس الجوار الجغرافي.
ونتشرف بالإشراف على أشغال.
We are honored to supervise the works of this 21st session of Tunisian Algerian Commission, which comes at an exceptional moment for relations between the two countries. It also serves as a preparatory step towards the holding of the 23rd session of the Tunisian Algerian Joint Commission, another opportunity to translate the action and the firm will that unites the leaders of our two countries.
نجسد فيها هذه الإرادة الراسخة لدى قيادتي البلدين.
On the sidelines of the Economic Forum, the members of the Algerian delegation held bilateral talks with their Tunisian counterparts. The State Minister for Hydrocarbons and Mines, Mohamed Arqab, held talks with the Minister of Industry, Mines and Energy, Fatma Thabit. The Minister of Interior, Local Authorities and Transport, Said Sayoud, held talks with the Minister of Interior, Khaled Al-Nouri, the Minister of Transport, Rashid Amri, and the Minister of Development and Housing, Saleh Azwari. The Minister of Finance, Abdelkarim Bouzerd, held talks with his Tunisian counterpart, Mishkat Salama Al-Khaldi. The Minister of Energy, Yahya Bashir, held talks with the Minister of Industry, Mines and Energy, Fatma Thabit. The Minister of Pharmaceutical Industry, Wassim Qidri, had talks with the Minister of Health, Mustafa Frajani. For his part, the Minister of Sport, Walid Sadi, had talks with his Tunisian counterpart, As-Sadiq Al-Morali. And the Minister of Agriculture, Rural Development and Fishing, Yassin Al-Mahdi Walid, held talks with the Minister of Agriculture, Azzeddin Ibn Sheikh. The General Secretary of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, National Community Abroad and African Affairs, Lounes Magraman, took part in the high-level regional congress on renewing the political commitment to the international humanitarian law held in the Kingdom of Jordan. In his speech, Lounes Magraman called on for a non-selective implementation of international law to protect the vital infrastructures and the civilians, particularly the people who suffer colonialism. He reaffirmed Algeria's position regarding the violations of international law in the occupied Palestinian territories, particularly in Gaza. On the 65th anniversary of the 11th of December 1960 protests, key witnesses and activists recall the courage, sacrifice and repression that shaped a decisive turning point in Algeria's path to independence. Basma Far with more details.
65 years ago, the resounding cry of the Algerian people drove the final nail into the coffin of the French colonial project. Massive crowds filled the streets to proclaim the right to independence. Among those present that day on Mohamed Belouizdad Street and along the main boulevard was Houria Kifi, a young woman who was committed to freedom. Holding a photograph, she recalls that day and her clandestine imprisonment.
عندنا المظاهرات نهار الحد والشنين اللي من هنا جاو نجيزنا في ديسمبر جاو داوني.
We protested Sunday the 11th of December. Next Monday, they came to arrest me on the 19th. They took me to Captain Bernard at 2 a.m. They came with soldiers and an informant with a face covered with a bag. He looked at the soldier and confirmed to his question that it was me. He told them to take me away.
Beside her, Qadr Bouroubi, mujahid of the first hour, remembers the courage of the demonstrators.
كي خرج العلم ولفدته البنت الجزائريه والمجتمع الجزائري لاول مره الفرنسيين شافوا العلم.
The Algerian flag was unknown to the French, but when it was released, it was held proudly by an Algerian girl, symbolizing the Algerian people. It was truly the first time they saw it. They had never seen it before. This flag was now firmly in the hands of the Algerian people.
Among the protesters, Mohamed Saidi, now president of the Historical and Cultural Association of the 11th December 1960, also remembers the violence of that day as he was seriously injured in the chest and the lungs.
أنا خبرت على القصبة، قال القصبة نادتهم يعيطوا كدا الجيريا انديبوندونت. مدنا نعيطوا، تم الجبهة دخلت كم المجاهدين دخلوا تما حنا اونايتي كونتاكتي قال اسمع دركا هذه الهضره.
We received news from the Kasbah that an uprising had erupted and Algerians rose up for an independent Algeria. At that moment, the front intervened. We were contacted immediately. The first thing we prepared were the flags. We hurried down to Bab el Wad. They began attacking us, and there were many deaths, victims they removed in an attempt to hide the traces of their massacre.
يا دي مور ولي مور هذوك رفدوهم كاين اللي رفدناهم حنا اللي ديناهم حنا كاين اللي هما داوهم لي ديسبارو هذوما هما رفدوهم باش ما يبينوش قالوا شوفوا داروا كارناج.
The 11th of December 1960 demonstrations became a decisive political, social and diplomatic turning point for the Algerian cause. But the price was heavy, with hundreds of martyrs falling, including children, many holding the national flag in their hands. Glory to our martyrs.
The province of Timimoun commemorated the 65th anniversary of the December 11th, 1960 protests under the theme, The People's Insurrection. The ceremony was held with the presence of Minister of Mujahideen and right holders Abdel Haq Teshrit, the local authorities and the revolutionary family. After reciting Surat al-Fatiha at Timimoun Cemetery of the Martyrs, a wreath of flowers was laid in the memory of our glorious martyrs. This commemoration was also an occasion to visit several Mujahideen and honor their sacrifice. On the same occasion, at the Resistance Square in Algiers, the President of the Council of the Nation and the President of the People's National Assembly presided the commemoration ceremony with the Minister-Governor of Algiers. The audience listened to the national anthem and recited Surat al-Fatiha in the memory of our glorious martyrs. As part of the military cooperation with Tunisia for 2025, the commander of the naval forces, Major General Mahfoud Ben Meddah, supervised the inspection ceremony of the missile launcher corvette Rais Hassan Barbiar in Algiers Naval Base 1st Military Region, after participating in the joint naval exercise Al Morjan 2025 from the 2nd to the 8th of December in the maritime zone north of Tunisia. The exercise included the execution of joint tactical maneuvers involving maritime interdiction operations, search and rescue drills, as well as training in combating illicit activities at sea. This exercise aims to strengthen bilateral coordination, enhance operational readiness, and assess the level of integration and interoperability between the Algerian and Tunisian naval forces. The Algerian naval forces participated in the exercise with a missile launcher corvette Rais Hassan Barbiar and a detachment of naval commandos from the Special Actions Regiment. This activity reflects the strength of bilateral cooperation with regional partners, contributing to the enhancement of maritime security and safety for both countries. A major diplomatic win for our country with the confirmation of the Algerian priority for the registration of the kaftan as an essential element of the UNESCO cultural heritage for the 20th session of its Intergovernmental Committee held in New Delhi. The committee decided to rename the registered in 2024 to explicitly include the kaftan, which reaffirms the historical and cultural primacy as well as the international recognition, which reflects the efforts made to preserve our cultural heritage from any kind of appropriation or falsification. And with this, we come to the end of our edition. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being with us. Have a good night.